Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. I'm your host, Sarah Stephenson. This is my co-host, Mike Stephenson.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we are reviewing a movie that goes back many years ago, which is called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which was released in 1941.
Now, why are we doing this? I'll tell you. Okay, I'll keep telling Sarah that if there's lots of younger people listening to the podcast, they might not be aware of some of the old classic films.
No, that's true.
Now, but this one here, the one we're doing, the Dr. Jekyll Mr. Hyde 1941, is the one with Spencer Tracy in the lead role. Now, about 9 years earlier, we had one of Frederick March. Now, Frederick March, I think, got an award for the acting and stuff in it, but it was new and fresh then. This is 9 years later, so people say, oh, well, been done. So Spencer Tracy didn't get the accolades he deserved. Okay, so...
What a drag.
but I think it's just a far better movie and far better acting.
I agree. I mean, the fact is that when I was little, when I first time watched Dr. Jekyll Mr. Hyde, it was really a scary movie to me because when you first meet Mr. Hyde, when you first see him transforming into Mr. Hyde, you see these images that sort of fade in and fade out that gives you different depiction of this person slowly going down the, breaking away from rational thinking to,
Whatever.
free will and, evil intentions and stuff like that. And then it's like this unknown individual coming out of him, and of course it takes on a personality all on its own without any thought for other people and everything like that. And it does scare me a bit about how this is Spencer Tracy was able to portray two characters in one, and it's not just an act, a different actor portraying him. It's the same person, right?
Well, they always did it that way. Now, having said that, this was I won't say the only ones, but the third major film they made based on the book. Now, there was a silent version.
Yes, there was.
Barrymore was in it. I can't remember his first name. And then Frederick March did the one about 9 years before this one, and then this one. And I think really the three movies, they're all good, but I think this one's the better one.
Yeah, it is.
Because of Spencer Tracy. I'm not saying Spencer's a better actor than Frederick March, but I think I happen to like what the director did.
Yeah, we kind of had a colorized version when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I haven't got it anymore. It wore out and nobody got black and white one. I'd love to get a colour version of it.
But I guess the black and white is okay too. Yeah,
because I was looking for it on Amazon and eBay and different things. I cannot find a colour version of it. Someone says, oh, this is colorised. And look at the same product, someone else say it's black and white. So I'm going to go and buy a black and white one, hoping it's colour. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but some of these classics stand up good when you colorise them. Sometimes not. But anyway, irrespective, here we go. All the good bits. Right, back in the olden days, let's see, produced by a guy called Victor Saville, directed by Victor Fleming. Now, I'll talk about Victor Fleming later on, but he actually did many movies and a couple of well-known ones, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, we will.
Now, this is based on a book by Robert Louis Stephenson, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which was written in 1886.
Yeah, by Robert Louis, no less.
Yes, Robert Louis Stephenson. He spelled it wrong, but no.
Yeah, we've often thought we were related to him.
My father said we were related to him, but we weren't really. But because we're related to George Stephenson, and George Stephenson and Robert Louis Stephenson aren't related, and they're about the same time up in Scotland, so chances are we're not related to him. So anyway, here we go. Now written by, the screenplay obviously, John Lee Martin, Percy Heath and Samuel Hoffenstein. Okay, now, I won't go through all the actors, but the main ones are quite good and most of them are well known. for those old movies anyway. Now, Spencer Tracy plays Dr. Henry Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Edward Hyde. I never knew his first name, Edward. Okay.
We always know him as Mr. Hyde because back in the day, people would only be referred to as Mr. So-and-so or Mr. Smith, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, whatever.
But they never refer to their first name.
Does
Go
all
on.
the time.
I'm just saying.
The two leading ladies, Ingrid Bergman plays Ivy Pearson, and Lana Turner plays Beatrix Emery. Now, Ivy is a barmaid in a, what do you call it, vaudeville show type.
one of those, what do they call it?
Like music hall.
Music hall things, yeah.
And Lana Turner is Dr. Henry Jekyll's intended fiance. The funny thing is, with these two girls, originally Ingrid Bergman was going to play the fiance and Lana Turner was going to play the barmaid. But Ingrid Bergman pleaded with the directors and stuff because she was sick and tired of playing the nice, saintly, good little girl. She wanted something a bit more meat on it. Yeah, so they did a screen test for her for that role, and they liked it, so they swapped them around.
That must be
interesting.
Okay. I can understand that. She wanted something different.
She's always in that nice, good little girl sort of thing.
Yeah, she was the in Casablanca, as I recall.
Yeah, the nice lady. Yeah. Now Donald Crisp plays Sir Charles Emery, which is Lana Turner's dad. A guy called Ian Hunter plays John Lanyon, who is a very good friend of Dr. Henry Jekyll. Anybody else?
Well,
okay. C. Aubrey Smith plays Bishop Manners. He's their local minister at the local Abbey Church.
Yeah, we only see him twice, obviously, but not important.
And I'll mention Peter Godfrey plays Poole, who is Jekyll's butler.
Yeah, who's sort of a supportive character in this.
Yeah, but he's very good. He came over very convincing. So, anyway, I won't go into any more. There's a cast of thousands like Cecil B. DeMille job. Now,
well, I wouldn't go that one.
Having said that, money. I like the money side. This makes it all worthwhile. Now, these are obviously retrospective figures. Budget, $1 million. You couldn't make it for $1 million nowadays. Box office about 2.3. So it actually made money for the studio. You're looking at my shoulder. What are you looking at?
I'm just looking at the money. I never even seen the money box office thing from those olden day movies they make.
So retrospect, theoretically speaking, you would see this here as say 10 times that, maybe 20 times that. I don't know what this is done 41 almost all over 80 years ago, so things have changed a bit.
Considering most of the movies that go back to then would not even give you a number crunch of how much they made.
And not to say, not to mention years later when VHS tapes came out and everything else. Probably even syndication through the TV networks. All the money came out in studios from syndication, going, licensing fees to TV stations around the world. Then VHS tapes came out, and DVDs came out, and Laserdiscs came out, and all it goes on and on and on. So it's made a lot of money for them. I
remember, before we get into the movie, I remember somewhere that when the TV came out, some people in the film studios objected to it because they thought anyone who goes ahead and decides to side with them, they're traitors to the industry, or they thought TV is lesser filmmaking side to it.
That's where movies ended up after doing their runs. TVs came out in I think the 50s. And actually, these movies were sitting in their own little vault. Says, "Hey, we can get money out of these by letting them go on TV."
Yeah.
So they had licensing fees, and the TV station had to pay a fee, like a copyright type licensing fee, to use it.
Yes. See,
so they wasn't enemies.
Yeah, that's
true.
They
were friends.
And it's likely enough, even some people who are smart in the industry worked it out that if they go to them, they can probably be paid in money, obviously.
Yes, I just said that.
But they never thought that. They thought of TV as a competition.
No,
for the cinema.
No, they said it would take people away from the cinemas, but the new releases wouldn't be on television, anyway.
Yeah, mostly.
And, okay, then you had the older movies on the TV.
Yes.
So,
Anyway.
irrespective,
Yes.
if we're not going into technology and advancements in everything and how it affected the community. Okay?
Oh, yeah. We already covered that too much already.
I can't think of anything else. I will talk about Victor Fleming. This remains so in case I forget later on. Now, he was a director. He died young. However, during his long career of over 30-odd years, I think his first movie was in 1916. It would be a silent, obviously. His last movie was 1948. Now, these last couple of movies are interesting.
Yeah, you may remember them.
You bloody hope so. He made Gone with the Wind in 1939. He made The Wizard of Oz in the same year. There's a movie a couple of years earlier called Captain's Courageous. I remember that one. He had an early version of Treasure Island he did back in 1934.
Before Robert Stephenson did his own version for Walt Disney.
Who? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is a Robert Stephenson, not related to Robert Louis Stevenson.
Okay. And Dr. Jekyll Mr Hyde, obviously. So, in 1941. So this is about his fifth to last film.
Yeah.
But he did really, really, really good. He's had a lot of movies.
Oh, yes, he has.
Started in the silent period and coming into the talkies. He did quite well.
Yes.
Anyway.
And he managed to do a few of them in colour.
Well, we would have gone from silence and then the black and white talkies, then into colour talkies. So, yeah, he did pretty good.
Anyway.
So he did good.
So I'll get
Had a good career.
So I'll get into the story, guys.
Once upon a time.
So the story begins where Dr. Jekyll is with his fiancée and his father-in-law, I think, at the church.
Yeah.
And they're listening to the pastor saying the usual stuff, and someone starts giggling in a sinister way. We then see it's a man who is having a mental breakdown, and he starts spatting off some really horrible negative things, or really nasty things. And soon enough, the police were planning on taking him probably to prison and to give him his rights, the usual stuff. But Dr. Jekyll steps in and tells him to send him to this address that will be an insane asylum so he could be treated. Of course,
Loony, is he? Oh, there you go.
Oh, come on, Fly Eater.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just from Dracula, obviously. Anyway, so
The original Dracula.
He's taken down to the insane asylum with his wife. His wife was with him, trying to calm him down, and we learned that this man had a mental breakdown from a sort of a blackout or some kind of incident that happened in London recently, right? And that's probably why he had that mental break, obviously.
Well, I don't know. In some blast, we was working in London, around somewhere that area.
Yeah. Anyway, so Dr. Jekyll, we find out more about him and found out that he's experimenting on, behavior, like how to, deal with evil or nasty behavior patterns. Of course, he experiments on animals, and some of his experiments failed. Like one of the rabbits in his care dies, obviously. Is that right?
A lot of just animals died.
Yes, it did. Anyway, he goes to a dinner that his father-in-law has organised, and he talks about the subject with a few of the people at there, obviously, and some of them either see it as... Well, his father-in-law thinks he's loony, and you can't treat something that you cannot see, stuff like that. There are some people on the table who cannot see something that can be explained up in the head.
Yeah, anyway. They didn't know enough about psychiatry back in those days. Sarah's glossed over a bit, but basically it's this: Henry Jekyll thinks we have a good and evil side in all of us in our nature, and the good side is using control. And the bad side is the one who gets those little urges, I hate you, I'll kill him. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Now the point is, he thought if he made the serum up, he could get people to be totally good. Mm-hmm. Not bad, totally good. That was the idea of it. So the idea is you can get rid of these nasty, horrible urges and stuff and become a new generation person, like quantum leap in our development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, later on, he's given the news by... Oh, before we get to that, he meets with one of his colleagues, and they kind of help a woman who on the streets who is getting manhandled by a man on the streets.
He's going to try to rape her, yeah.
Of course, they step in and escort her home. And, of course, her name is Ivy. She's a very pretty
Ingrid Bergman,
woman.
love the girl.
And she... Of course, Dr. Jekyll tries to examine her, but she took it the wrong way, obviously.
She sort of, he was just after a bit of sex, and he was a good-looking guy, so he thought, well, why not?
They do kiss, and she gives him a...
So she kissed him.
Yeah, and she gives him a garter as a bit of a... as a payment, according to her. Anyway, he heads off, and he then later on meets with his... both his fiancée and his father-in-law, and his father-in-law tells him that they're going abroad, or not really abroad, probably away for a couple of weeks, and he wants him to sort out these experiments of his, because he thinks that what he's doing is crackpot, like Mike here would say, right?
Yeah, pretty good, yeah. Crackpot, yeah.
Yeah. He's not sure about his state of mind. He thinks he's not good enough for his daughter. So they go off, and dear old Jekyll waits for every mail that Beatrix sends. Of course, when he gets the mail and finds out they're staying longer on where they are, obviously, and he's a little disappointed. And his experiments are going well. He finally cracked the formula that to make a person nice and eradicating the evil side. He experimented on a rat and a rabbit, and he was able to get the rabbit act aggressive with the formula, and
the rat became quite like a little bunny.
Yeah. He then goes to the hospital and was about to use it on the guy that came in, obviously, but we found out he's dead. Meaning he died in the hospital, and
probably had a heart attack from all the stress in his body.
Yeah, and
doesn't say what
he now knows that he has no test subject to test this formula on. So he takes it upon himself to try it on himself, which he does, and it works. And of course, he gets these visions in his head of Ivy and his weird obsessions, like weird things going that you normally would not have in your brain, of course, where he's doing horrible and negative things.
Naughty things,
nasty things. He does it in the privacy of his own laboratory, and of course when his butler overhears whatever is going downstairs in the it's actually a separate room, sort of his laboratory, and he's worried about him. Of course, he gets himself, get rid of the Hyde in him, and he tells him that it's all right, everything's fine. I just had to escort a person out into the streets, blah, 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 blah. It's nothing.
Through the back door.
Yeah, there's a back door, obviously. So weeks progress, and he has not heard whether or not when Beatrix is coming home. He then uses this opportunity to use the Hyde, formula to go and out in the streets or out in the town. So he takes the formula, drinks it, and he turns into Hyde. There he goes down to the music hall that his butler told him about. There he causes a bit of trouble and mischief, and he sees Ivy working as a barmaid, obviously, singing joyfully amongst the customers and here and there.
Yeah, this is very popular.
Yeah, he orders some champagne, and she delivers it. And of course, he makes a pass at her, and she wants her to drink with him, but she says that she's a bit on the busy side, so she doesn't want to get tipsy. But he then causes a fight to progress amongst the patrons, and he then goes to the owner and tells her that Ivy was the cause of the fight. So he gets...
He paid the manager...
Yeah, he pays the manager to fire her.
To fire it.
And he then goes and takes her home in his carriage, where he kind of makes out and rapes her.
We think he raped her or had his way in the carriage.
And he later on sets her up in a nice establishment, far more better than the little hovel room that she had. And she meets with her friend who comes to visit. I think her name was Maria, Marsha, and she accidentally sees that she's got marks on her back.
Bruises like from being whipped or hit or something.
Yeah.
We don't see them. She does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's word from mouth in this one. They don't. This is manages to get.
Yeah, we believe there's bruises. Yeah.
Yeah. Soon enough, Hyde arrives and he makes his advances on dear old Marsha, but luckily enough, she gets out before anything bad happens, and he then. Ivy wants to go out. She's been trapped inside that place, meaning she's a prisoner in this little new home that Hyde's paying, or Jekyll's paying for his money, obviously. And I think that more and more that he's using Hyde more and more as a way of getting into his evil intentions of getting into affair with Ivy while Beatrix is away. Anyway, he doesn't see it as a crime. Anyway, but of course he continues beating her and raping her. Of course, later on, as Jekyll's back at home, he decides to destroy the key that allows Jekyll to go out.
Go the back door.
Yeah. So he melts it in the his stove, and
he one of the little laboratory stoves which gets a lot of heat, so he melted the key.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if he has had any memories of what he done or did. Probably does. He probably would. Anyway, soon enough, I like to think, just like a split personality, the dominant personality, which is Hyde, is taking over a bit, and he's just along for the ride throughout, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, a bit like poor old Norman Bates, Norman Bates.
Yes. Anyway, soon enough, Ivy does arrive at his place and shows him the marks on her back, and he knows that he's the one who did it, and he tells her that Hyde will not return anytime soon. He plans on not
making him go away.
Anyway, so he promises her the guarantees to her that Hyde will never return. We don't think so. Anyway, soon enough, Beatrix and her father return, and while they were on a date, I think, with her father chaperoning, the father approaches him and says that he's ready to announce a date for their wedding.
He said something silly like, I'm sick of this girl of mine. Yeah, can you take her off my hands as soon as you can? Yes. That's what he's been waiting on.
Yes, they finally... So they make arrangements to start preparing the wedding, obviously. And, of course, on the date of the engagement party.
Well, maybe engagement party, formal dinner to tell people they're going to be. Yeah.
As dear old Dr. Jekyll heads out, he's wearing his cape and hat, and he's wandering down the streets whistling a Mr. Hyde tune. Is that right? Hyde kind of whistles it. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, that's not the song that I was singing in the music hall at the beginning of the show.
He starts getting, oh my gosh, why am I singing this?
It starts taking over
and
all of a sudden.
As he's sitting on the bench, slowly Hyde materializes, emerges.
Yeah. Without the serum.
He then goes to Ivy's house, her apartment. I think flat.
Flat,
and he attacks her, rapes her, and kills her.
Yes, because he taunts her because he went to see Dr. Jekyll.
Yes, behind his back.
And then when Hyde comes in, he's repeating everything that she said to Dr. Jekyll and what she actually did. And she went to the door and turned and said something. And she's getting really scared and confused and he put her out of her misery.
Yeah. Later on, Marsha arrives and she hears the noise of her dead friend's dying screams.
Her friend's dying screams. It can't be a dead friend dying.
Yeah. And soon enough, Hyde emerges and he fights off as many of the men and women who tried to stop him from entering the street. All the time, people start running, chasing him, and of course he then breaks into a newsstand to steal some stationery store and steal some pen and ink so he can pen his friend.
Pen, paper, and ink. So he couldn't text his mate, could he? No.
Yeah. So he pens it down to his friend's butler, and of course he wants him to bring the potions.
So he can mix it up and transform himself back to Henry Jekyll.
Yes, which he does, and he does arrive at Jekyll's house, and he manages to get back to his place. Of course, Jekyll Hyde is there, and of course he tries to take the medicine away a couple of times, but he says, "No, I want to talk to Jekyll, so you got to tell me where he is." Of course, he then mixes the chemicals together, and then he slowly drinks it, and then he turns back into Jekyll. And of course, his mate
is horrified.
Yeah, he tells him the lowdown of what happened, and he feels like that. I can't believe what you've done, all that stuff. And
you've gone too far. Yeah.
And he realizes that he feels the worst of persons. He's doing this not only to himself, but to Beatrix, his own love interest.
Yes.
So later that night, after he comes to Beatrix and tells her that he's
going to break it off.
Yes, he's going to break it off, the marriage. So she's left heartbroken, but as he's heading out the back entrance, somehow Hyde
comes out
again,
mm-hmm.
and as Hyde approaches, and then he attempts to hurt Beatrix, but she faints.
He grabs her, and he's going to sort of accost her and possibly rape her, and then her father comes out.
Yes, and then he attacks him and hits him brutally.
He had a cane, walking stick like cane, so very popular back in those days.
Yes, and he breaks it, and of course he heads off, and of course the police and his friend arrive, and he notices the cane's handle, which is broken,
and he recognised it was
his friend's. He then takes the police to Dr. Jekyll's house, and there, let me see. Of course, Jekyll is in his laboratory, feeling a little let down for what he'd done, obviously. And when the guys arrived there, they approached Jekyll and asked him if there was a man inside the lab, and of course his friend approaches and says that's the man and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's him. No, that's Dr. Jekyll. He's a nice fellow.
Of course, Jekyll kept saying, "It's not me. It's not me." But
Mr.
then
Hyde.
slowly Hyde emerges from it into
another
space.
transformation, and then all these transformations happen. Well, most of them, half of them anyway, happen on screen. And a lot of people say, "Oh, he did it on screen with no makeup." No, if you have a look at the filming in every transformation they looked at, it had a couple of seconds, and then what they did, they stopped it. They kept the head in the same position or tried to line it up, did the makeup, and they did another couple of seconds, did some makeup, and they gradually changed it, and you can actually see how it was done for its time, 1941. It was brilliant.
Yeah, you could see why some of these, in those days, they would have done it inside a like always, they did inside a studio set, which means control of lighting, control of the whole background, so you don't have to worry about whether it's in a real setting or real location, so it won't affect the effect.
They could have the close-ups in a makeup room.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was close up of his head.
And of course, as his face changes, the police, and his butler are struck by this. He tries to escape, but luckily enough, his friend takes out a revolver and shoots him, and he falls, and his face merges back to Jekyll, and of course his butler, who is he's one of his loyals of people,
and sort of a good friend as far as butlers go.
He starts praying, "My Lord is my shepherd," blah blah blah. I won't go into the details. Then the movie fades out. The end. I know it's really brief because it
wasn't brief. For you, that's pretty dang good.
That was a brief summary, but I didn't want to go into the boring ins and outs of it. Like some movies would just go to 2 hours straight. This one went for how long?
I can't remember now. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be somewhere about 2 hours long. I think it's a bit shorter than that, but obviously, they do trim them sometimes. But anyway, irrespective. Now I'm going to go back to comparing a few things here. The transformations that Frederick March did in the previous movie 9 years earlier, they were a bit more dramatic, and they actually used a heavier makeup. It almost looks like a mask on him. It's so to me, it's over the top.
Yeah.
Whereas this one here, it's subtle makeup. It's more of a they bush your eyebrows, wilder hair, maybe some stuff in his cheeks to make his face look a little bit different. Yeah. Really basic stuff. But it was a personality change, which came out in this more than anything else. And like I said, Spencer Tracy did a really good job of doing a character change. Freddie March did a very good thing, but back 9 years earlier, they worked on over-dramatising the tad. I'm not saying he hammed it up, but that's the style of acting was 9 years previous. So they relied on a particular style of acting 9 years earlier. It had changed, and Spencer Tracy was doing what was expected as a better form of acting, I say. So, but he didn't get recognised for it because the story's been told before. So which means he didn't get the accolades, which is a shame because it's a damn fine movie for what it is.
Yeah, for it is, and for its act, I gotta admit the cast was pretty impressive. I like the fact, I liked the character who played Ivy and Beatrix. They were beautiful ladies.
Oh, they were beautiful ladies now.
They know how to pick beautiful ladies.
Ingrid Bergman, she was in a lot of movies. She was in Casablanca. She made Elsa, was it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's a very beautiful lady. And she's Swedish. She had that natural accent. And she's a beautiful woman. And Lana Turner, she's gorgeous too. So, so what do you want?
Good point. They're attractive.
They picked two good-looking ladies. And Spencer Tracy wasn't an ugly man. He was a reasonably good-looking guy. His mate Ian Hunter, John Lanyon, he was a good-looking man, and Donald Crisp was a good-looking older man. So they kept the eye candy happening for males and females.
True.
So it was good. Yeah.
It wouldn't be good if it was just strictly. Well, I mean, I do understand I liked it how they depict Hyde as being ugly, even though even people who are good looking may even turn out ugly.
See, the point is how do you put it? They're trying to show evil as ugly. So what they portrayed Hyde as an ugly, bestial type man, and Henry Jekyll as a very good-looking guy like Dorian Gray almost. You know,
because when you think about it, even. I often thought when I think about Dr. Jekyll a lot, I always think of split personalities and stuff like that, where a person even a good-looking person could turn out to be a demon inside, obviously. I mean, most of the time, people, even scientists and psychiatrists would probably know a bit of a deeper meaning behind people's behavior patterns more and more. They don't need to look at a potion. They just need to examine their behavior and stuff like that to figure out the whether this person has a serious sense of problems or maybe there's a way to cure it.
Okay, Dr. Seuss. Now,
I'm just saying that there are a few. There's a way around it. Sometimes it's usually through trauma or something deeper.
They didn't know that much back in those
days. Back then it was more experimental.
That back in 18, whatever it was. Yeah. Now going back on the casting for a minute, I was just reading some notes here. Now, Spencer Tracy, I believe, was married, but he was having a relationship with Katharine Hepburn.
He is.
Okay. Another fine actress. And they were looking at actually having her in this movie.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Playing both roles as Ivy and, what's the name? His girlfriend.
Beatrix.
Beatrix, yeah. So it was going to be a case that she was going to look sweet and angelic in one scene and a bit more earthy in the other scene. Yeah. So a bit like he was doing it through Jekyll and Hyde, she was going to do a double role. And that's why he's attracted to Ivy, because she looks like
I can see that.
His fiancée. Yeah. How's that?
But I got to admit though, even though I liked it that there were two different women, because to be honest, I think it was a lot more believable that he's attracted to Ivy for different reasons, sexually, because she was sexually interested in him.
She was interesting and outgoing and stuff.
Yeah. Whereas Beatrix is the...
Everything was repressed.
Everything was repressed, and there was enough, even though... I can imagine you could probably still get a sex drive out of her.
Yeah, the point, no, everything was held back.
But things of society
because that was expected back in those days. But the I'm not going to be... The people who weren't in the middle to upper class of the ordinary working class people were a bit more open with their emotions. How's that?
They were. Anyway, so I could understand why to both Jekyll and Hyde that they thought they were looking for a release by going to Ivy, especially when Beatrix was away. Like the term I've told Mike here just a while ago, when the Beatrix is away, the mice will play. Hyde will play.
But that Hyde wanted to play all the time.
Of course, Hyde turned into more of a monster.
Actually, talking about Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes.
We saw a bio thingy on Alice Cooper, Super Duper Alice Cooper or something like that.
Yeah.
And there were excerpts of the silent version of
Hyde, yeah.
Dr. Jekyll Mr Hyde with Barrymore. Barrymore?
Yeah, it was a silent version.
And a few things, and it came in there a few times about the alter ego coming out and taking over, and that's what happened with Alice Cooper and Vincent Furnier. Vincent Furnier was the good guy, and Alice Cooper was the evil, naughty guy on stage, and Vincent lost control of Alice Cooper, and Alice Cooper took over. So the same sort of thing. He was a Jekyll and Hyde there for a while before he cleaned his act up back in the 80s and became the fine man he is now. So,
with a few children, still married to his wife.
Probably got some grandkids by now.
Probably has a few grandkids
and
looking.
Plays golf.
Yeah. I liked when they said about the, I think it was either Sex Pistols who were complaining
Johnny
about...
Rotten said, don't give up the golf there.
Hey, a man has to have a hobby. Away from the whole stage performance. Man has to do something.
So you say the Alice Cooper bio thingy, the documentary bio thing, implied a Jekyll and Hyde personality. And a lot of people have. Norman Bates in Psycho.
Yes.
He was Norman Bates, a really, really nice guy, and he was mothered a homicidal maniac.
It seems to me, in my mind, why the reason Hyde was taking more and more control out of Jekyll...
having a ball.
It's the fact that Hyde became much more stronger than Dr. Jekyll. And when more he kept on appearing, it means that his will take control over, and the old Jekyll will cease to exist.
Possibly.
In my opinion, because even in the book, it said that Dr. Jekyll says that he was going to leave everything to Hyde when he disappears or goes, and when he did go, that Hyde was be left behind to face whatever tragedies that will befell him. Like maybe he will face jail time or he may even die because the fact he kept transforming back and forth. It's like, getting reborn, over and over.
Oh, here it is. It's John Barrymore's in Silent. Lionel was his son.
Oh, right.
John Barrymore.
Yeah, so it's like that, where you get reborn so many times and you realize that your body cannot handle it anymore.
Exactly, too much stress.
Too much stress on the body and the soul. And of course, it's not mentioned. It's not in the movie, but I think that one way or the other, it weakens Jekyll and
Hyde. I think Hyde was sapping his energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what I was going to say is, I was going to talk about reviews. I'm not going to talk about the reviews directly on one-on-one, because there's too many of them. They're long-winded blowhards, some of these guys, back in those days.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to say is, the critics at that time didn't like this one as much as the earlier versions. Because they were trying to compare it to John Barrymore and Frederick March's version of the same story. So they were probably tired of it. They didn't care. So they talked it down a bit, saying, it was okay, it's a bit passé and everything, yada yada. But the other ones are over-dramatised, like a stage actor would do it, when this one was more of a screen actor doing it. So there's a bit of a difference in dramatics. And I think they were expecting a bit more over-the-top stuff. But this is more subtle.
It comes off subtle.
This is a horror drama.
It still scares me, guys.
It's more, to me, it's more of a drama with a horror theme to it.
Yeah.
Not a horror movie, per se. As some people, because it's not really like a horror movie like Hellraiser or something rather. It is a drama with some horror aspects thrown into it. Yeah, so I don't think they appreciate it for what it was. It's grown in popularity over the years since then.
Yeah.
And you go look at it, you can still buy it.
Yes.
And you can also buy the early one of Frederick March. And the John Barrymore one you might be able to get. But it's a good story, and they're all holding their own. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta admit that it is an interesting watch, guys. So I, as I said in the past, you definitely should check it out. Anyway, go on.
Now I'm not going to say too much, but I was going to say, if you haven't exposed yourself to old movies too much, especially younger guys that might be in 20s and 30s, you're used to seeing the things past, say, 10, 15, 20 years, that sort of stuff, maybe 30 years. Some of these old films are worthwhile having a look at. I mean, the early Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, the original Universal ones, they starred it, and people copied them. Okay? You look at things like Treasure Island, I think the Disney one with, here's a guy who played a pirate, I can't remember. He played, something right there, and everybody copied him after that. He made the pirate sort of thingy. Bobby Driscoll played the little guy.
What do you expect from a drunk?
No, but he was drunk on stage, on the set, film set, and I can't remember his name at the moment, but he was copied by all the other guys who played pirates after that. These guys, the early filmmakers, the early actors, they did a really good role. Take Vincent Price. I love him. He brought a lot to the film roles. He did the Waxworks or the Wax Museum, where there's two movies. There's one before that, about 10, 15 years before Lionel Atwill in it. Same story, same everything else. It's slightly different name. One's called the Waxworks, one's called the Wax Museum. Both stories are really, really good, and both actors are good, but Vincent Price, to me, did it better because he's very adept at screen acting, and he was very great at creating emotion and non-verbals and different things. And he made it, and people's look at him, wow, great actor. And these old actors, when I say old, no, young time, you really brought something to the industry when they're going from silence into talkies and developing the talkies.
I don't get why some of the people were picking on this one, because it's...
No, they didn't pick on it. They just said they're comparing it to the other ones. So they said, oh, the other ones are better, but then they always do that, Jim. They bag them, and it's really crazy. Yeah.
I mean, the silence stuff was pretty interesting, but...
Oh, the silence was brilliant.
But I do think that's I mean, this one is not too... It's also really cool, especially the fact when he started doing some mysterious stuff and started, hammering home that he was really twisted and corrupt, and the fact that it also showed a nicer side to it, which shows two different sides of the of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is the whole point to the whole story. Two sides that harbour the same body. This is what the whole point of this movie is, to have two sides, dark and light.
Disney did that, remember the cartoon? The man had a nice controlling person in his head and a little guy like a caveman next to him. And a little caveman. Well,
actually, that was, I think it was...
Yeah, it was a Disney cartoon.
It was a Disney cartoon, my bad.
And a little caveman guy was a bit like Hyde. He was the primitive sort of beastie guy who was fun-loving and wanted to do everything and we didn't care about anything. And the other guy was the sensible one in control. And when the caveman type guy took over inside the guy, he got into so much trouble.
Yeah, when you have cartoons that are so similar to one another back in the day, it makes it harder to, try to separate the two.
But think about this.
Considering that both Looney Tunes and Walt Disney's cartoons, once upon a time, they used to be, working together.
Yeah,
but then they separated because of differences.
Here's something you got to look at too. Dr. Bunny and Mr. Hare, I think. It was a Bugs Bunny version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, yeah.
Tweety Bird and Sylvester had one.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other one? I just missed my brain for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everyone. Abbott and Costello. Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm not sure.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I think Boris Karloff might have played Dr. Jekyll. I
haven't seen that one yet. I don't think. I mean, I think I've seen the Invisible Man one, and I think I saw the Abbott and Costello meeting Frankenstein. And the Mummy, obviously.
So whenever Universal Studios got sick of somebody, and say, we'll give those guys get some mileage out of it, and they had fun with it. So yeah. Now, having said that, where do you get it? I'm glad. We didn't.
We haven't rated it yet, have we?
10.
I'm gonna rate it 9 out of 9. I mean 10 out of 10 too. I mean, it was really dark and scary, but it's a good watch.
Yeah. Now you've got to remember here, I'm grading this as a film that was done back in 1941, not comparing it to filmmaking of today, okay? Because obviously filming styles are a little bit different. But so 10 out of 10 for its genre and the period it was made. Now, eBay, yes, it's for sale. You can also get a double pack, 1931 version and or 32 version, whatever, and a 1941 double set. It's quite good actually, so I think I'd buy that as a good deal. Amazon, you can rent it, and it's for sale. Now, being an older movie, yes, here we go. Watch out for VHS and laser discs and all the other good groovy things that you don't want. So, yeah, make sure you get it, and make sure you get the right year. This is the Victor Fleming version with Spencer Tracy as the lead role. Okay? Now, yeah. So we've graded it, and where do you get it? We've done that. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. So you know where to get it, and you know our thoughts on it, obviously.
I love old movies. Like, I've been collecting movies for years. Now, I keep saying, I've just told you guys, I'm about 71 next birthday. Now, I started watching adult movies when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Because that's all on TV. Didn't have too many kids' movies. And I was watching matinees and stuff, and midday movies, and I was watching dramas and spy thrillers. I got a taste for mature movies when I was younger, and then we got some horror hosting done in Australia when I was growing up. We had Deadly Earnest. You would have had something like Vampire or different things, and a different horror host. And I got into all these old crappy B sci-fis and horror movies, and all of a sudden you started seeing things like this pop in there as well, and some other seriously good films at the time.
Yeah.
And I was in my heaven back in those days because I just love films.
Yeah, guys, if we ever watch any more oldies like this, I wouldn't mind actually checking out the...
We'll dust a few off. With selective ones.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure which one to go for next, but I'm hoping for, if I can, if I might look at one of the Dorian Gray ones.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones that will be good, but I might
there's
check
one there,
if there's a good one out there.
Right, I got Hurt Hatfield. Hurt Hatfield, I think his name is. He played that was the one on 6 months. He looked really, really good. I think he had. He almost looked like a model to me. He looked really good.
Well, that's the whole point.
And the whole point, he suited the role.
Yeah.
And then I already remember the aging part at the end looked really bad.
It's just that whenever some people often do that, I would like to find out if there's a good one out there.
Yeah.
I may one day later on, not now obviously, because I don't want to turn to a theme or thing, that I might one day watch Dr. Jekyll and Miss Hyde.
Sister Hyde.
Sister Hyde.
Yeah.
I might check that out.
There's and we might do some old sci-fis and stuff because Again, I keep saying it, but a lot of young people haven't been exposed to some of the older movies, which were classics.
Yes.
Like Forbidden Planet's one of my favourites, an old colour sci-fi, and it's got Leslie Nielsen in it playing the lead role.
Yeah.
You
Before
know.
he made comedies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he was a seriously good actor, and he was a good-looking young man back in those days, and and the special effects for that time, it was exceptional. So,
Yes,
exceptional. So we're going to go through a few things and maybe cut some things like the 4D Man, which you guys probably don't even know about. Look, 4D Man with Robert Lansing in it. Have a look at it.
Have we reviewed that one yet?
No, I don't think we have. Have we?
I might have to go.
We have to have a look. I don't think we have. It might have. But yeah, old movies like that. And you go, wow. And people get ideas and they do remakes, or they get ideas from these films and they make something similar. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Anyway,
really good.
that's about it from us, guys. I hope
Love
you
it.
guys enjoyed this rambling. This
Ramble.
in this
Ribble,
latest
ribble.
episode. So I hope you guys may check out the movies and let us know what you think of them, and let us know in the comments, as usual, what type of movies you want us to review
Yeah,
next.
the more feedback, the more. I mean, I've got over 6,000 films in my category in my library. Okay,
Yes.
I can go through every one of those. Now that might bore the pants off you. Okay,
Yes.
so sometimes it's really hard. Sarah's scratching her head. What's going to be done? What are we going to do next?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
give us a bit of a hint. You want new, old, sci-fi, horror, mystery, whatever? We'll have a go.
I do have one probably on the. We watched 2 movies last night. One was from Mike's Here collection, and I had also found a movie that I went on YouTube to find, which is called Hell Night. So we might check that out.
Yeah, that was back in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, we might check that out next on our
Hell Night.
on our list, and then we might try another oldie but a goodie later on.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed our latest episode,
enjoyed it.
and I'll see you guys for our next one, whenever that might be. So this is Sarah Stephenson
And Michael.
saying, see you guys around on Boys and Ghouls Film Review. Bye for now, and have a good week.
Hi guys.